podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com.
I had fun, man. Just out, you guys joking. We working at the same time. Putting the work in as a team. Like I said, I'm just glad to be with the guys.
My favorite night of the week.
We're gonna go out there and we're playing to win. We're not out here just to show up. We're out here to win.
I don't want guys that want to win, because really, who doesn't? Nobody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. I want players that hate to lose.
Well, this embodies everything that we are as a team, as an organization. Our motto is keep pounding. And that's what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Holy cow, what is up, Panther fans? That music is so loud in my earbuds. What is up, fellas? Tony Dunn here. C3 Carolina Panthers podcast, another Tuesday night, the 50th Tuesday night we've brought to you in the 2017-18 season. Tonight's episode, Crabs in a Bucket. They all fall down to Jameis Winston. Stole them all. Stole all the fire out of everybody. The NFC South is eliminated from the playoffs, thankfully, and in great salt in the wound fashion. We'll be talking about that tonight, and I'm going to do it with my homeboy, Mel Mayock, in the house. Week 2, round 2. Joey's on the way, Mel. Good to have you, brother.
Hey, man. What's going on, Professor? It's Tuesday night. As I always say, my favorite night of the week. Very glad to be here. Popping the first beer of the night. I got coffee.
You got coffee.
So let's get it going, brother.
You gotta stay up with me tonight and talk a little Carolina Panthers football.
People already jumping in the YouTube chat room, man. They're all of us talking about wide receivers, who we're gonna get, who's a free agent, who we might draft. That's a big storyline this offseason amongst many others.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to talk about that tonight. That is on the list, actually. Offseason needs is going to be a talk of the show. Tonight's episode, 17.50 Crabs in a Bucket. We'll be discussing the fall of the Atlanta Falcons and the even more glorious fall of the New Orleans Saints tonight. Yeah, we've got
brutal.
It was, man, and we got some talk. We need to talk about Cam Newton's exit from the game and the investigation into the concussion. There's some things that were new to the story after we discussed this last week. We got the official Norv Turner hire to finalize, and also all the glorious news and some good cat calls. No screening tonight. They're live and on fire, and I think they're going to be good. But I came in hot, Mel, so they are in unedited, just straight to your ear hole form. This is the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast. You can follow us on Facebook. We appreciate that. On YouTube, Twitter at @cat_chronicles. If you're watching right now, we encourage you to hit retweet, thumbs up on YouTube, share the broadcast, get involved in the comment section, and we're also live on Periscope. You can consider donating to the show if you'd like to continue to see indie content produced. You can find the Patreon link and all of that jazz in the show notes or on the website. Mel, we're going to talk a little bit. Let's talk. I mean, if we don't talk about the Minnesota game, the Minnesota New Orleans Saints game, which I thought was going to be slated to be the best game of the weekend. At first, it looked like it was going to be a rout. The second half, the Saints make a stunning comeback to blow the lead with 0 seconds left. They were winning by 1, and then they lose with 0 seconds left in an abomination of football plays and a wonderful, glorious moment for Panther fans. What did that mean to you? Are you petty?
Yeah, I'm very petty. And I swear that last 5 minutes of that game was probably one of the very most entertaining games I've ever watched. I mean, it was back and forth. One of the best. And I've gotten to where I truly respect the Saints, especially this year. I respect Drew Brees. Doesn't mean I like him, but I mean, he is incredible. Alvin Kamara is unbelievable. Definitely the rookie of the year in my mind. But I hate with a passion Sean Payton. So it was very glorious for me to watch him go, boom, yeah, throwing expletives and walking up and down the sidelines like he was King Kong after they went ahead with 25 seconds to go, only to just get the sucker punch right in the gut. That was call it petty. I loved every second of it.
I didn't realize how bad Sean Payton really was. You know, I thought that I just didn't like these guys a lot of the time because they're the opponents,
right?
The division rival. Does it irritate me that Cam Jordan, that's his name, right? Cam Jordan.
Yeah.
Does it irritate me that he smack talk? Sure, a little bit, but I also appreciate that friendly smack talk.
Yeah, it makes it interesting.
I do like that. I think, though, when it comes to owners and coaches, that they're kind of like the parents in the room. So they're supposed to fake it and let the kids have fun, let the fans have fun. But I don't mind a little jab and this and that. But he's like become one of the fellas in a way. And that he's doing things that I want to see the players do and not the management do. And he goes out there and the next thing is he's going to be flipping the bird to people.
Yeah, giving the throat slashing sign. Things like that.
Or, he did the choke stuff. I don't know what that is. What is that? Was he really saying choke? Because I didn't see it other than just the pictures people have put up. Or was he, like, calling a play?
No, he was telling somebody they choked.
God, see that kind of stuff. You let the players do that, and the coach is supposed to come out and fake it, and be like, oh, this and that. So he goes and does the skull. He's like, they had won it. Imagine this. Imagine if that was Mike Adams.
Yeah, I tweeted that out. If that was Mike Adams, Panther Nation would be on fire. It would be unbelievable. Oh,
they are. Is that how devastating that is?
I feel for that kid, man. Woo, he had a great rookie season.
Is that PJ? His name's Marcus Williams. That's not the same PJ. Is it PJ?
No. This was he was a rookie this year. PJ Williams has been around for a few years out of Alabama.
Okay. So there's two. All right. So yeah, it was Marcus Williams. He goes in there, and all right. So the way it went, did it finish? What was the score was 29-24. So it was 24-23 with 6 seconds left.
Well, it was yeah, and I mean their only hope.
24-20.
And the plan was for Diggs to catch the ball and dive out of bounds and have a last second either chance at a field goal or a heave-ho Hail Mary. And props to Diggs for. I'm surprised he didn't just go out of bounds anyway because that's what he was being told to do. But to have the wherewithal to say, hey, there's nobody back there. And what in the world is up with the Saints defense to not – I mean, Marcus Williams is going to be the fall guy. But where's the defensive coordinator's head to not have, 7 guys deep? I mean, that's the one time.
Well, there was 3 dudes right around him, and they all just, they just didn't do anything, and it was crazy.
Unbelievable. Lesson. That's the one time you played prevent defense.
What did we learn from this moment? All right,
the number one, are awesome.
Yeah, number one. Don't leave a football game, especially a playoff game,
right.
At any moment before the contest is over, unless you are ready to live with the result of missing greatness.
Oh, could you imagine if any fans was walking down the ramp after that touchdown?
Oh, there had to have been some that were walking down the ramp, and then they heard that place go from collective groan.
They're like, what?
To explosion. You know how loud that place was. We could feel it on the TV. We could, but if you were there, because I was at the Panthers NFC Championship where we blew out the Arizona Cardinals, and that place was rocking. You could feel at times the stadium flex.
It's different than a regular season game by far.
Yes. But I'm being pretty sure of this, is that place was still packed out. And I bet you it was louder than the Panthers NFC Championship with that. That was the greatest football ending you can draw up. That's like what a kid does when they're like shooting hoops in their backyard and they're going 3, 2 against Jordan. 3 ball. Yeah, exactly. That place was crazy awesome. What else did we learn from that game? So you don't leave a game early unless you're willing to deal with the results. You don't talk junk to the opposing team in the crowd until the game's over unless you're willing to live with the results. So you just got to know that that's coming. And then the last thing that I'm thinking, Mel, is damn, do those teams look a lot faster than the Carolina Panthers.
Sigh. Very true, though.
I mean, Panthers, just overall, the speed that those Kamara plays at is, I don't care what anybody says. That dude is magical. He's a man. And I tweeted out in that game, and I got flack from like 2 people, not from a lot. Sorry, it's not play calling. It's not scheme. Sure, those might emphasize it some or not exaggerate it. But
it's personnel, man. It's personnel.
No. Kamara is just ahead of McCaffrey right now. Sorry. I mean, he's just a bigger – he can do all of that. He can do whatever McCaffrey does.
But you know what? I don't blame the Panthers for that.
No. I mean, no, not at all. It's not a knock on McCaffrey. It truly isn't a knock on McCaffrey. No. It's how special Kamara is right at this moment. Absolutely. And you can see it. It's one of those, like, special things. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, we're trying to scout things we don't see. But every now and then you see some players. Like, you didn't have to be a football expert to know that Bo Jackson was, like, crazy awesome.
Probably the best player I've seen play.
Right. Like, you just watch it. Like, it's like you don't have to know anything about it. You know, you just know that it's like
watching. It's like watching Michael Jordan in his prime on the court. He's just like a man among boys, like Pele in soccer.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a man among boys. Yeah.
All right. So we learned that they're overall faster. The other thing I think that we learned from this game was if you look at – and I feel like we're going to just flog in that we're about to flog.
However, Professor, let me point out the one thing about that, you know, I'll toot the Panthers' horn. As special as Kamara is, he's not what beat the Panthers the week before. The Panthers did a great job shutting down the run. I mean, great. Now, how long will Drew Brees continue to do what he's doing? And how long will he do it in New Orleans? That's going to be a storyline all summer long. I mean, he's a free agent.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it wasn't for Drew Brees, we would have been taking on the Vikings.
Well, he said he wants to stay there forever as long as they believe in him. He ain't going nowhere.
But how long will that go on? He is diminishing. You can tell.
They got the Mormon boy.
Well, he's not Drew Brees.
What's his name? Tizzy. He played at what's the Mormon school in Utah?
BYU. I think they all are.
Yeah.
But BYU.
BYU, and his name is, somebody will get it in the chat room, and he's the guy that like blocked the kick, or they thought blocked the kick, and then everybody went. Then Joe Buck and that dude oozed over him, but. Is that he's a funny character because the BYU people, they like cheer for him like crazy town. They say he's gonna be awesome. But you're right. Look, Drew Brees there. As long as you have Drew Brees and he's playing,
you got a chance.
You're relevant.
Yeah.
Slim J said this. Keep in mind that the Minnesota Vikings lost Dalvin Cook and they still got this mess done like that.
Shoot,
you take him away.
They lost quarterbacks. I mean, they were on their third string quarterback, really, from what they were wanting, and their second string running back. I mean,
Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, Cody pointed out. That's his name.
Okay. You can rely
and they
on Cody.
think he's just like the bomb diggity, everybody, but he's fun. Joe Buck loves him. But anyway, They did lose Dalvin Cook. But their defense is freaking awesome. But I tell you one other thing.
Xavier Rhodes, man.
Stephon Diggs. He's just a baller.
No, he's good. I wouldn't say he's great. He's good. He's not even the best wide receiver on that team.
Who is?
Thielen, by far.
By far? He ain't better than Diggs.
Oh, my God. He is a top 2 wide receiver in the league. Are you kidding me? And he went undrafted in fantasy football this year. Take a poll, YouTube chat room. Who's better, Thielen or Diggs? I don't even think it's close, man.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm biased in this one because I thought I said at the beginning of the season Thielen was overrated, and I had to take it back. Like, I just had to straight take it back because –
how was that crow?
Like, when I saw him, I mean, like, after he just kept doing it, I was like, all right, this dude is legit. You know, he is, but I think they got two playmakers then.
They do. Now, you know there are 2 teams that tried to sign Thielen, right? Only 2.
Was it the Panthers?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
the Minnesota Vikings. We're the only other team that made him an offer. And because he was from Minnesota, he stayed there.
Well, that sucks. Good for him. Smart move for him, it looks like, at this point.
Oh, imagine him with Cam, though, brother. Woo.
That'd be awesome. All right. So, Minnesota wins it. The Saints blow it. What a good – and, you know, the sad part about – for a Saints fan that makes that even worse – what makes it worse than losing with 0 seconds left on the clock to a play that shouldn't happen is that you just mounted a historic comeback.
All right, now tell me this. If you mounted a historic comeback, I mean, one for the ages, which they did.
Yeah.
And then it just gets yanked out from underneath you. I mean, just like the – I mean – did you see Drew Brees when he walked out onto the field? It was like a stroll in a Sunday afternoon park. He had no emotion whatsoever. Walked right over.
Because he was in shock. He was in shock. He needed a blanket. He needed a blanket. He was like a person that just been in an accident on the side of the road, and they wait and they get up and they like their arm is like bent backwards, and they're just like walking around. Get that person a blanket. They're in shock.
Right, maybe.
I thought this was so Cody says the internet memes of Marcus Williams missed tackle are hilarious.
I've seen some of those.
All right. So the Austin 316, what was his move that he did where he drops the dude? You're the wrestling guy. You should know this. Whatever. I don't know what Stone Cold Steve was. What was his signature move?
Stone Cold Stunner.
The stunner.
Yeah.
They photoshopped him in doing that. My favorite meme is of Drew Brees, which he's the guy that I want to least pick on out of it. But you know that mole he's got on his face?
See, that ain't right. People pick on that. That ain't right.
They put a crying Jordan in it.
That ain't right.
That was the best, man. To me, that was the one that made me laugh the hardest, was the crying Jordan in the Drew Brees mold. I thought was awesome.
That's pretty good.
So if that, I mean, I don't know if I could watch football again after that. I mean, I would watch football, but I would not turn on. I would not
have been able to work this week.
What about doing the show? Imagine doing this
show. I couldn't do it, man. Oh, could you imagine Joe? Joe would be on fire. Oh my God.
We would have to like sniff some Oxycontin or something to like ease that pain. I don't know how you get through that. I'd have to go to the doctor and get a prescription for some Xanax or something. Whatever. I don't know what the medicine is they give out for that, but I would need the full strength. The good news, though, to make this weekend even better for us as we're watching it, the damn Atlanta Falcons lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. and they only scored 15. They only scored 10 points. They got blown out in a 15-10 blowout. The Philadelphia Eagles just worked them.
Now, I'm telling you, the Panthers could have beaten the Eagles. I'm convinced. We could have beat either one of those.
Well, the Falcons could have beat the Eagles too, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball. They were terrible. And they weren't terrible. They refused to win. You know, they did this against us too. Is that they did everything they could to not win the game. They just it looked like they just were their own worst enemy.
Yeah, they had a loser's mentality for some reason.
Julio, I think it's unfair. Well, I think it's righteous that he dropped it. More so, I don't dislike Julio as much as I dislike Matt Ryan and everybody else.
I like Julio. I respect Julio.
Yeah, but I just feel like Julio's just on the wrong team. I'd like him if he was anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
He's always hurt, though. So it's crazy. But that dude just plays through injury. He's always on the injury list. But he fell down. I feel like they're being, I wouldn't say being hard on him. He didn't catch the ball. But it was not like he just, I mean, he fell down, got up. It was in all the traffic and all of that. His foot came down out of bounds.
Right. I mean, even had he caught it, it wouldn't have been a touchdown. So, I mean, I don't put the game on that.
So that's glorious, especially that the Falcons they have the best, I think they have the best overall roster in the entire. I would argue that their roster is every bit as good as the Saints in so many ways, or should be. Their defense has played so much better. But boy, did Nick Foles just eat him up on that run-pass option. Like, he just did the same play. I felt like we were playing an old-school football game on the Nintendo, and I just kept pressing the circle play.
Yeah, I wonder what Nick Foles' contract status is. Because if he's a free agent, Case Keenum's a free agent, and Drew Brees is a free agent, that is, like, historic. Some teams are going to be throwing some in Kirk Cousins, perhaps.
At who? I mean, they ain't gonna. Case Keenum's the one that's going to get paid.
Well, after Nick Foles takes the team to the Super Bowl, you don't think he'll get paid?
They ain't beating the damn Vikings.
Well, if they do, I mean, you would have said the Jags weren't beating the Steelers. I guarantee last week you would have said the Jags.
Well, that was just ridiculous. I don't know what that is. And the Pittsburgh Steelers should be ashamed that they wasted a roster like they did.
You see, they're talking about some investors in the Steelers or minority owners in the Steelers are trying to fire their head coach.
I heard he had a better winning record than Bill Cowher.
I'm telling you, if he gets fired, it will take all of about 5 minutes before he's got another job offer.
Yeah, I feel like they would fire whoever just hired a coach would just fire theirs.
Yeah.
Like brand new hire. The dude in Chicago, see you later. We're bringing in Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
He definitely looks the part. All right, so that was great. The Falcons, the Saints loss was just so crazy that I haven't even thought about that Falcons game at all. Like, I haven't even enjoyed it that much other than they got beat by a team they probably shouldn't have. I'm just glad that it would have haunted me all off season, Professor, if the Falcons won the Super Bowl when all we had to do was beat them in Week 17 to keep them out. Right, so I'm just very relieved that they're not in it anymore because I would just be hating that fact all summer long. It's not a question worth asking on this podcast, but I do want to mention that some people think that we should pull for teams in our division because they're in our division. And it's not worthy to talk about on this podcast because it's a fault. It's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
Do you know, and this is what will put that argument completely to bed for anybody. I say this, if you think that you should cheer for your division because it's your division to win, you're a faux fan. And I don't like calling people's fandom out because this is a fan podcast and there really is no definition to what a fan is other than that you cheer, right? But you don't know the people that cheer all year when there's nothing on the line, when everything's on the line. We would have to hear the shit talk from Saints fans and from Falcons fans for like 2 decades.
Right.
It's not just, I mean, and I still get Bucks fans who want to talk, and anytime the conversation they just get reamed, they just go, well, we got a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I can't handle that shit. I want it to end. There's only one way for it to end. Just like it did for the Saints. A damn dagger to the heart.
No, I agree. So who you pulling for at this point?
What if it was a Jags-Eagles Super Bowl?
That does not.
That would be
sexy.
the worst. Actually, I would be. I'm pulling against the. Should I say this? I think I'm pulling for Minnesota. That's who I'm pulling for.
That's the trade I'm on. I think it's a great story. I mean, on the one hand, we beat them. On the other hand, I think it's a great story to see a team for the first time playing the Super Bowl in their home city.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
And I do love the Case Keenum story. I mean, man, when I was at that game this year, he is a special freaking player. He reminds me of Brett Favre. He really does. I mean, he is escapable, and he's a gunslinger. And I love a zero to hero type of story, and he's definitely it.
I think that I'm pulling for the actually I know I'm pulling for the Vikings because it's simple because Linval Joseph plays for the Vikings and he's a former ECU Pirate who was probably one of the highest rated recruits that the Pirates ever got because he got in trouble or something happened when he was at Miami and then he transferred to ECU and we got this balling ass player because of something that happened. And he may be, in my mind, I think there's an argument that he's the best player that the ECU Pirates have ever put in the pros. And that goes against, like, David Garrard, also Jeff Blake. Chris Johnson is one.
Chris Johnson's got to be the guy.
Well, he did have that crazy, awesome 2,000-yard season. But Linval Joseph, I think there is that he puts up numbers that are crazy awesome for his position, but because it's a nose tackle.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be. Yeah.
He's the most successful nose tackle. He's amazing at what he does. So I'm cheering for that. I think you raised that great point about the home team and the home stadium. That would be amazing. That would be the best Super Bowl. But you couldn't write it any better.
That's a great storyline. Yeah.
I know I'm also pulling against the Jaguars, and everybody. I know it's the.
Now, see,
easy...
not this weekend, buddy. You gonna pull for the Patriots? No way.
No, I'm not pulling for them to necessarily beat the Jaguars. I'm just pulling against the Jaguars to win the Super Bowl. That's it.
Because they came in the same time we did.
That's right. Is that I would like for us to be the team that gets it before they do.
Yeah, I could see that, but I tell you, that's a fun team to watch too. I mean, hats off to them. If they win, I'll be happy for them. I get what you're saying, but it's not like they're a big rival of ours, really.
Right. It's not a real. It's just kind of one of those secret storylines that I'm not. And that's it. Nothing like crazy.
Yeah, better than the Patriots though. Anybody but those suckers.
All right. Let's talk about this. Cam Newton, at the end of the Carolina Panthers game versus the Saints, towards the end, last drive, he's having one of the great games. Comes back in, still plays great. He gets smashed. What would probably kill a regular quarterback. It was awkward the way he went and got hit, and it was all up in this region.
it was.
You know, it's like this. It's like, what is it? There's a movie where somebody hits their face and it's not, and their like whole face is messed up, and like, is it bad? And it's like, it's not so much here or here. It's like here.
Here.
Yeah, it's that he got caught like in here. And
he got ran over, man.
yeah, and he goes and walks off, and he looks wobbly. He goes down to a knee. And he goes in. They say they take him in to the tent. There's no. It's his eye. He says his eye was clearly also messed up, but we don't know if it was messed up because his head was about knocked off. It looked like a potential case where the concussion protocol is applied. They take him into the tent. They say he's all right. It's just his eye. He comes back out. The next week, though, they come down. There's two storylines that emerge out of the Panthers because the NFL is investigating this because they care. They care about Cam Newton's head in this game, just not any other game.
Right. They care about making a statement in a future lawsuit.
Right. Exactly. Now it suits them. So they come out and they say, we're going to investigate this. Panthers respond by saying, not only, we have a high-end doctor who said, no, he's all right. Then they also said that later that the coaches told him to take a knee, which somebody did in the Saints game. They went down, I think it was the Saints game. It may have been the Falcons game, I'm not sure, but they went down and said, look, I'm injured, and it got them time for their defense to reset. And then it has something to do with how you substitute as well, if you're penalized or not penalized or whatever. So the Panthers said that they were yelling in his earbuds in his helmet to go down to one knee so Anderson could warm up. So, all right.
On the one hand, that's incredibly dumb because NFL concussion protocol says if a player goes down to one knee, they got to be taken back to the locker room for evaluation. And the Panthers, whoever's saying that in his ear, should know that. And they were risking losing Cam Newton for some significant plays there. So,
well, I think it says that they have to look woozy.
Well, if you go down to one knee, I mean.
Right, he did look a little woozy. All right, but then here's the other part. The last part of the NFL rule, there's like a little snippet that right after Mel just stated what the rule is, but it says unless orthopedic injury. So if you go down to one knee or you look wobbly because you broke your ankle, you don't have to be evaluated.
You're good to rub some dirt on it and get back in the game.
Right. So then, I don't think not many people have noticed this, but then a couple of days later, I mean, they noticed this part, but the association with that rule is that suddenly Cam Newton had a knee injury. And that is part of the reason that they took him in the tent to evaluate, which I think this is all lawyer spin, lawyer talk. The Panthers have lawyered up. And they looked at the rules and the exact wording and said what arguments can be made.
Hey, Cam, your knee hurts, doesn't it, man?
That's right.
Yeah, I think so.
Your eye bone. My eye bone hurts, Mr. Orthopedic Eye Doctor. No, is that you're right? Is that the knee? I think that's my theory. Is that they're going to try to letter it of the law and be like, well, you also had this, and they were looking at that, and I think they're going to make this go away. That's my 2 cents.
Hey, you're a smart dude. That sounds about right to me.
I'm just always figuring a way to get the con on, I guess. Norv
true.
Turner, officially hired by the Carolina Panthers since we talked last.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it was coming or thought it was coming. It's official. He's going to bring in his son. Now we are the Carolina Norv Turners.
There goes the dream of Steve Logan for you.
That's right. Hashtagged it one time.
The momentum just kind of faded.
Oh, Lynn says this. So, Tony, you think the MRI was further legal posturing? Yeah, because I didn't even know about that MRI until you said it. But, yeah, if you have an MRI machine on hand, I would be like, run them through it. Mm-hmm. Find something. Find a contusion. And I don't mind it. I felt like I do mind it. Like I don't think that. I just don't want to be fooled by anyone. People kind of care about people's health, but we also, like, I cheer when people get blown up on the screen. Like, my instant reaction is like, oh, bam, you blew that dude up. And then I'm like, I hope you're okay when you're 60. So I think that I do think that, look, I just feel like this is that the NFL is going to win if they want to win. They can make this look bad for the Panthers if they want, but I bet you this is all just lip service and goes away. That's my theory. But, all right, Norv Turner, his whole family is here. I think I'm on board fully.
Yeah. Get on board, baby.
I am. I mean, I know I tried to be the excited person in the last time about Norv Turner, but I think it's the only hire the Panthers could make that Ron Rivera could physically make that would be better. And not that, actually, I mean, a lot of people could be better, but I think I don't think that Ron Rivera is risky enough to hire outside, like you said last week. Yeah. And also, he's conservative by nature, so Norv Turner is like his elder, aggressive guy.
Well, let's face it, he always tried to get Shula to run the Norv Turner offense. And Shula, it was second rate to the guy that actually it is his offense. So if you can get the guy, hey, why not go get the guy? Now the key.
Why not get an Apple phone instead of a Snapple phone?
Exactly. You know.
Stupid. It was lame. Lame joke. Lame joke made Mel laugh though.
Yeah. It's not too hard. But anyway, the key is like what we talked about last week, is the personnel. I mean, you've got to have a stud running back. You've got to have a stud wide receiver. So you need somebody like a LaDainian Tomlinson. You need somebody like a Vincent Jackson. And you need a stud tight end. So we got the stud tight end, I think, at least for another year. I think we're hurting in the other two areas. Now, McCaffrey's going to take a step forward. I don't think he's one back type of player, though. You know, I would not be surprised to see the Panthers target a running back like Geis if he's there at 24. I would not be surprised at all.
All right, let's talk about that. Specifically, quickly, just for the next couple minutes, the state of the Carolina Panthers, just where we're at and the things that are coming up. Let's blend the off-season talk with Norv Turner talk. So, from what we know about Norv Turner's system is that you're going to use the ultimate goal is to throw downfield aggressively.
And my only problem with that, Professor, is do we have the tackles to hold up to that?
Okay, so that's actually it's not the only problem. There's a lot of problems with this. Yeah. The first problem is you got to have guys that can get downfield and be athletic and win. The goal, from what I've read about Norv Turner's system, is the theory is that if you throw high percentage passes in like a West Coast offense. So say you go 10 passes, you complete 8 of those, so you got an 80% completion rate. But the average pass was for 4.5 yards. You got, what is 8 times 8 times.
You're talking about 36 yards.
8 times
Around
4. 32 plus 4 more, 36 yards. So you have to have an 80% completion rate to get 36 yards. But the idea is you can have a lower completion rate with a more aggressive passing, the same 10 plays, if they go for 10 yards.
Yep.
And you complete 50 of them, you have outpaced.
Now, if you complete 50 out of 10, you're like Hall of Famer.
50%, I meant.
Oh, okay.
5 out of 10.
Right.
5 out of 10.
If you completed 4 out of 10, you're still beating the 36 yards completed at the 80%. And it's the same theory as a three-point shooter in the NBA.
Exactly. So that's the ultimate concept to the passing game. And then the idea is that you can soften that downfield game with a power run attack. Mm-hmm. And maybe some
you think about it,
swing passes out of the backfield.
If you're going deep, the safeties are going to be playing back, which softens up that run game. They start coming down, then you got the swing play coming out to the edges. So it's a brilliant offense if you have the right components.
Yeah. And the other thing a guy at work this morning mentioned to me is I see him once a week, and he's a Panthers fan, so he always comes by and swings by and talks to me a little bit about the Panthers. And he put it a different way to me than I have been looking at it, that resembles a little bit what you're just saying, is that you use the downfield game to soften the defense against the run. Mm-hmm. Where we traditionally hear the idea that you use the run to soften the downfield game. The idea is to stretch them out vertically rather than horizontally. Right. But you have to have the important components, right? Cody says he says, I'm optimistic because if you look at what Turner has been the most successful with, he has had a big-bodied receiver, a great tight end, and a pass-catching running back. Check, check, check. So there are a lot of components there, but we do have some off-season needs, and let's blend that into this conversation. We need downfield threats.
You know, what we don't have, I mean, and you could say, you know, Curtis Samuels was coming on before he got hurt, but the guy gets hurt. Until he can prove that he can stay on the field, I'm not going to be overly excited about the guy. Devin Funchess had a good few games, but he's not proven to be the guy. Now, he's got some upside, no doubt about it, and he's still very young. I think he's, 23? You know, it's unbelievable when you think about it that way. But we don't have a guy who can just flat get open, get separation. Our best wide receiver this year was McCaffrey. You know, we've got to have that X receiver that can get out there and just run precise routes and get open. You know, so I mean, there's some free agents out there. There are some guys that I think we're going to take a hard look at. There's some good guys in the draft. You know, I got my first mock draft coming out here on Thursday. Everybody should check it out, see who I got.
All right. You do need to have. You're right. Is that we need 2 receivers that are Funchess level or better.
Absolutely.
But they have to be complementary too.
Correct.
So
you can't go back to the Twin Towers.
Yeah, Funchess is the big guy. We need another guy that's not small.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to another big guy, but what you need is somebody.
They have to be faster.
And they have to be fast, and they have to run good routes.
They have to be faster than Funchess. Funchess cannot be the big-bodied, fast receiver. He should be like Sanu.
Right. Great point. He should be Sanu. Now, we need Julio Jones.
Or somebody that is not – they don't have to be as good as Julio Jones. They just got to be better than Sanu.
Correct. Correct. I mean, I think Julio's the best wide receiver in the league, honestly. So, you know, and I think Thielen's the second, or Antonio Brown right up there. So those are your top 3 wide receivers in the league. But we need somebody who is a playmaker that can just get open. I mean, Funchess has promise, but he has not shown that he can just run that precise route and just get open at will. And that's what we need. And there are some people in the draft that can do that.
All right, well, let's actually talk about this, because I don't think the draft is the best place to address the wide receiver. And the reason being, yeah, it takes time. And we really need a wide receiver to not be Julio Jones great, but better than Sanu. Or Sanu-ish to me. Big playmaking type guy, but also...
there is... Would you be excited about somebody like Jarvis Landry?
I think he's too small. I think he's an underneath guy. I think he's kind of an underneath receiver. I don't think he really is the vertical threat.
He's not a vertical threat. He's a possession receiver. But he wouldn't
be a bad person to have on the team. I think he's going to be more than I want to pay. So let's put out some names there. Landry, I'm going to say that's not the top of my list. How about you?
Well, no, the very top of my list is one Josh Gordon.
You are serious? You're the straight edge dude on the podcast, and you want to get the dude that is damn. He's like the owl. I call him. He's like Weed Pacino.
But dude, look what he did under Norv Turner just in 2013. You write the contract to protect yourself. And man, if he
screws up, he don't help us.
If
he's awesome.
But you draft a wide receiver too, man. You gotta put it on the table. If you're gonna win a Super Bowl, you gotta get talent. And Josh Gordon is like no other wide receiver.
And he's only 24 years old or something mess like that. How you like 25? He's so young. The reason I don't want him, man, is because
1,600 yards, dude.
I feel duped. I feel duped. Josh Gordon duped me, bro. And that is no. I've defended him for damn 2 years on this podcast, 3 years on this podcast, saying that I thought that the NFL had witch hunted him. And that they were going after him for some little mess. Like they were taking the little stuff and making it too much. And they were suspending him for a whole season.
He had a big problem. There's no doubt about it. He was playing games.
And then it comes out, is that he's ripping bong hits at halftime. And, it was just, all right. So, yeah, he is on paper and on the field the best. The problem is on the off the field. That leads us to the next name.
You write the right contract, I'd be all for it. Now, I would not give the dude guaranteed money. You go give him a $10 million guaranteed contract.
What about Martavis Bryant?
I could be down with that with the right contract.
Or Martavius. I think it's Martavius.
I think it's Martavius. The problem is to get him, you're probably going to have to pay him number one wide receiver money, and he probably is number 3 on the Steelers. So
he's Josh Gordon with seeds and stems. To me, that's what it is. He's a discount. He's discount.
Right. Swag. That's why I'm going Josh Gordon, man. But now Josh Gordon isn't exclusive rights free agent, so the Browns would have a right to match it, and they would get we'd have to give up a draft pick to get Gordon. So that makes the stakes pretty high.
Adsilla8 says somebody's good when they can smoke weed before the game and still ball out.
Just think about that. I mean, it's funny, but that's a great point. I mean, if he played like that messed up, jeez.
In the immortal words of Redman from How High, he said, study high, take the test high, get high scores.
It is crazy. I was watching the 30-30 on Ric Flair over the weekend. That dude said he drank 10 beers and 4 martinis every single day for 18 years.
I liked it, I hate that guy, so I don't care about him. But I guess some people just can get. All right. So to me, those are 2 names that there's some risk associated with them. Third name that has risk associated with them in a different way, Allen Robinson.
where's the risk? The injuries?
Yeah, well, he tore his ACL last year.
That means you get him at a pretty good price.
Agreed.
Now,
you get a guy that is
player.
He's better than Martavius Bryant.
That's who we wanted instead of Benjamin in that draft.
You're damn right. And that dude is only like 23 years old. The question is, how does the knee respond after a year? Good side to Allen Robinson is that he has incentive to not play with Bortles. Right? He also, because he's Bortles.
Well, true, but if Bortles wins the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, but if he throws for 87 yards in the Super Bowl.
Then he becomes Trent Dilfer.
Right. The other thing, too, is that he does have the option. I think the one cool thing about Allen Robinson that could be really helpful is but the knee, it's hard. I don't think they're ever 100% when they come back from a knee. I think they're 85 and they play at 85 all year, and then the next year they get to 90, and then the following year they get to 100. So I think there's a time. I mean, they're going to play. He could be productive. He could be very good. But
you got to be careful giving him the big guaranteed money too.
But you could potentially say we want to sign you to a mid-level deal, not money mid-level, but in length, like 3-year deal, where we can reevaluate it after year 2. The 3rd year is an option for us to get out. But if you're on the uptick, we wouldn't want to get out, and it would be time to renegotiate, and you would be getting good money.
Right.
That's where I think there is some benefit there. Now, those are the top names. And then there's the 4th outlier I saw a lot of people like to say is the trade.
What about Sammy Watkins, though?
You're right. You're right. Actually, there's another name. Sammy Watkins. That's Cody Lashney's guy. I don't want Sammy Watkins.
I don't either. I would love the thought of it.
He better be cheap. Good God, he better be cheap. He's sorry, man. Sorry. He's sorry. I mean, God, I just ain't seen him do anything. Like, I just feel like it's just the budding Julio that never was.
Yeah, and he was always hurt. He's got that problem with his foot. You know, but
I mean, maybe it would work out. Like, I wouldn't be upset, but I would be less. Would you be more excited to have Allen Robinson or Sammy Watkins?
Oh, definitely Allen Robinson. But I would have to temper my expectations and say, year 1, Allen Robinson may not take us to the promised land. You'd have to temper that expectation. He may not be the beast that first year, and you just have to understand that.
But we ain't ever even seen Sammy Watkins be a beast.
Oh, he had some flashes.
I think he had 1,100 yard season or something like that. All right, so the next tier of people. Richardson, where I looked at Richardson's stat.
He's fast.
Richardson blew up this year.
He's fast. There's no doubt about it.
You know, he went to high school with Ben Wickery. Were you about to say it?
Yeah. Him and the guy that plays for the Jaguars, Marquise Lee. The 3 of them were on the same high school team.
Cody Lashney says Sammy Watkins is only 24. That's no way.
All these guys been in the league seems like 10 years. In the
God, I know. I feel like Sammy Watkins was dang like old news. Like, I mean, he's pre-Kelvin Benjamin.
I guess
so that means
coming out. But
yeah, because every now and then you'll get that.
Come out.
Yeah, you'll get that player where he's like 27, like a Russell Shepard. He's like 27.
Which I hope is not on the Panthers roster next year.
Who cares? I mean, if you're upset about Russell Shepard being on the roster, I mean, if he ain't getting no snaps. It's easy.
What'd you say? He's sorry. He's sorry.
He's sorry. He's sorry. All right, so the Richardson who went to school, Benet, he had 760 some yards, I think, this season. Then it comes to my guy, the guy that I think this is the guy that Dave Gettleman would sign. And you know me, because I'm a big spender, Mel.
That's right. Big money Tony.
And Tony asked for his change back from Mel. It'd be like this. Mel be like, dang, man, it was just like $2. I'd be like, come on. Where's the $2 at? No.
True.
I like Dante Moncrief. I think that's his name. Vontae, whatever, Moncrief. Good grief, Moncrief.
You like him so much, you're confident about his name, huh?
I know his last name, Moncrief. Good grief, Moncrief.
He's a good player. Played for the Colts, right?
Yeah, 6'2", 220, 4'4", 40.
Yeah.
Showed some real flashes downfield. I think it's a guy that
Here's my thing, though. Here's my thing, though. You could argue that we got some components. Funchess going to be back healthy next year. You got Curtis Samuel. So you got some components there. And then you got Bird coming back. So you got some good players. You don't have the great player. To me, I'm taking the risk, man. I'm going Josh Gordon if I can get him. I'm going high or I'm going in the draft.
Somebody told me that the Browns actually still have the rights to him, like he's not unrestricted because of the time he missed and all this crazy stuff with his suspension.
You were not listening to me, Tony. 5 minutes ago, I said it. I'm just picking at you because you were moving on to a different topic. But he's an exclusive rights free agent, which means we make him an offer if they have the right to match it, or
okay,
they could if they don't match it, then we have to give him a draft pick.
I would is that, I mean, all of these, any one of these dudes, Allen Robinson, we didn't mention the other thing is that it was out of the crazy, it's one of the crazy outside theory is the trade with Dave Gettleman for Odell Beckham Jr.
Now, who are we trading? Russell Shepard? I'm in.
Nah, like Dave Gettleman will trade Odell Beckham Jr. for like a 3rd-round pick and
kind of like he did,
a minivan,
like he did Steve Smith,
and a minivan.
A new
minivan,
yeah, he might Steve Smith.
No, I mean obviously Odell Beckham Jr. is like not where was Steve Smith in his prime type.
Well, you got to remember too when he was Odell was in the Kelvin Benjamin draft. And I remember clearly Dave Gettleman saying the only player in this draft that runs the complete route tree and is a complete wide receiver is Odell Beckham. So, I mean, he recognizes. So, I doubt that will happen. But if he does, hey, man, I'll
Lynn says she doesn't want Odell Beckham Jr. I get that. Wouldn't imagine how exhausting it would be, Lynn, if we had to defend Cam Newton and Odell Beckham Jr. Because when I say defend, Cam Newton's defense is warranted, but we cape up for our players. So if Odell became part of our team and we started winning and all of this and it worked out well, we'd be on Team Odell. I mean, we would be we would be like, I like the frosted tips. Love the frosted tips. Frosted tips, great look.
Though I do have to say, I'm with Lynn on this one. I mean, he is great. So if we do get him for a bag of chips, I mean, I'll swallow it and I'll be on.
You wouldn't get him for a bag of chips.
But I mean,
you have to give up a lot.
And I wouldn't do it. I would not do that. But if he got Steve Smith, where they said
that ain't happening. That ain't happening. You have to give a lot to get him. You have to give away a ton to get him. But if they did it, like I don't want them to do it, but if they did it, we would be all day defending.
Yeah. He's on your team, so you about have to. So
we have to get 2 Twitter swords out. We'd be looking.
Would be fun. You bring in Odell, and then you go back and trade with the Redskins. You bring back home Josh Norman.
Oh God, no! You can't do. That's impossible. Cody Lashney says, "Imagine the outfits and dance moves between him and Cam." Yeah, it would be absurd. It would be a circus, but I would cheer for it if it happened, I guess. So we got that. I'm telling you, I think Moncrief's the dude. That's me. Is that I think he'll be cheap. I think he's an option. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that could happen for a team. I think he has put up some decent numbers, and he looks pretty good. I went and watched maybe 5 games with him, and he's playing on the Colts with limited action, limited not the best scenario. Is he the most consistent? No. Is he the solution? Maybe not, but I do think it could be a cheaper option than some of these if that's what you need to do. All right. That's about it. I got one other note written down, and this is a sad note, but this is something that I feel like, man, has been a tough season for Carolina Panthers fans. And what we had is Mel. We've had a loss with you. We've had a loss with Lynn. We've had a loss with Abby. And we also lost recently, and I only know him from Facebook, a couple of interactions, that's it. And that the Roaring Riot went a lot out of their way, and props to Roaring Riot. Danny Dickerson, a.k.a. Down East Carolina Panthers tailgaters. He had a... Like, he went out, these guys came, I think he came from, like, Wilmington. I want to say, it's been a long time since I talked to him. And he said, and those guys went every week to the games. They brought, like, a huge tailgate. Like, it did awesome. He passed away. The Roaring Riot did a balloon send-off, though, of Panther-colored balloons to honor and remember Danny Dickerson. So, you know, much respect to Roaring Riot for having the backs of all Panther fans and knowing that this is what football brings people together. And not that anything that football is sacred, but the reason we love this, the reason we get together on podcasts is because we get to hang out with each other. And it's a good thing. Mel, I love hanging out with you, man.
Hey, man, I tell you, the support that I got from Panther Nation through the passing of my wife, unmatched, unbelievable, and I thank everybody for it.
God bless everybody this year, and Danny Dickerson, rest in peace, and cheered for a good team. We had that in common. So I think that puts us on to catcalls. Let's lighten things up a little bit with a little fan action. Actually, before we jump into the catcalls, I remind you guys this. Thank you for tuning in to the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast. You can find us at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We encourage you to subscribe to the podcast. We go every week, 52 weeks a year. We've done 50 this season. We appreciate your support because you guys come every week, participate in the chat. You can continue to support us by hitting the thumbs up button, sharing the podcast. One of the coolest things that I like to do is send a personal message to a friend that I know likes something. So if I'm listening to a podcast I like and I know somebody else has those same interests, I hit them up with a DM. I say, check this out. This is going to be cool. We appreciate you if you would send our podcast to a friend through a DM or something like that to somebody you know that likes the Carolina Panthers. We think they will appreciate it, and we know we will appreciate it. You can continue to donate to the show or help support indie fan content by donating to the Patreon account. And last, each and every week, we feature your voice, your calls on the Panthers podcast by fans for fans on the C3 Cat Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098, where we get your support. And right now, we're going to jump in and hear your voice. It's going to be fun.
So how do you think?
Hey, cow turd.
Nope.
What are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
On T3 podcast. This is Ryan out in San Diego. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the Chargers, so I'm glad I found you guys' YouTube channel. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. But I do want to say something about Norv Turner. Okay, he's better than Mike Shula. Now I get that he's a bad head coach, but if you go through the records, besides the last few years in Minnesota, where Teddy Bridgewater has a weak arm and he's not a mobile quarterback, and the same to go with Sam Bradford, the key to Norv Turner's offense is to have receivers that can go vertical and run crisp routes, and a quarterback to have a cannon arm. That is the success of Norv Turner's offense, is to have people who can run crisp routes, get deep, and a quarterback that can launch that ball deep downfield to his receivers. He's very aggressive when it comes to attacking the safeties, so that it can soften the coverage below, so that he can open it up for players like Christian McCaffrey or Demary Bird or Curtis Samuel underneath. Very good offensive coordinator, and the one thing that I really do like about him the most is the fact that if the game plan gets wrecked within the first quarter or two, nobody is better at in-game adjustments than Norv Turner.
That's been missing. That's a great
week in and week out with the San Diego Chargers. I know I live in San Diego. I've watched a ton of games. His last few years in San Diego had nothing to do with him as a head coach, but the fact that A.J. Smith, the general manager, completely wrecked that team talent-wise. So you guys do have reason to worry if the roster does not fit his system, but if we can get the players in place for what he needs, this offense is absolutely going to flourish. Keep it up, keep pounding, and I appreciate you guys, and I'm going to continue to follow you.
Word up! What a fantastic call. We love to hear that, Mel. And that's and what we have to continue to remind is this: is that the people that you will hear that are loudest against Norv Turner are generally younger people. You know, they are people who are in their early 20s, mid, usually. Well, I don't know their age, but I'm guessing that they're in their 20s, not their 30s. And what do they remember Norv Turner as? They remember Minnesota with with what was going on. But we said this last week, is that you lose AP the first year. You got a rookie quarterback alone. There's some different. Then you get 1,400 yards out of AP the next year. They were also had a winning record. Somebody pointed out to me that they were 5-2 when he quit with the Vikings, and then they finished 8-8. So it's not like they all of a sudden became world beaters when he was gone on offense. And going back is that those people, is that the head coaching part does throw a little shade on what he really will be doing as an offensive coordinator. And I tell you, there ain't nobody that's got a bigger arm than Cam Newton.
That's right. So, I mean, that's the cornerstone. You got to have that quarterback with the big arm, and we got that. So now we got to put those other pieces around him. We got to maximize. You got 3 to 5 years, I think, of Cam Newton left on this team playing at a very high level. That's my opinion. Another 5 years. 3 to
5?
Yeah.
Wow.
11 to 13 year career.
5 at the most, at the least, I mean, for me. But I think another thing into adding to just the part about the crisp routes, I think another point I think that refers to is that there is a lot of timing, a timing element to Norv Turner. Is this is the way this is going to play out. You just throw it and expect them to be there, and they better be there. The other thing I think too is that when you have an aggressive offense that is like, let's take the shot, let's do it, that's what we're setting up, it's all about this, you also need guys that just can win.
Right.
And win at the catch point. So sometimes it's not even about being the fastest, it's being like the bigger dog, like Steve Smith, more dog in them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, read my mock draft through Draft Tech on Thursday. Take a look at that player and tell me what you think next Tuesday.
Like it. We will. All right, and so that was a fantastic call. We appreciate your support. Let's keep going.
What's up with you, Professor? What's up with you, Joy the Puerto Rican? Welcome back, Mel Mayock. Glad to see you back. And sorry for everything that happened, but I just wanted to say this. Now we got rid of Mike Shula. I'm very excited that we did get rid of Mike Shula. That was somewhat of a positive. I don't know about really getting rid of Ken Dorsey, if that was really a positive, but I kind of seen Cam Newton growing under him, so I didn't really think that was too much of a positive. I mean, we still could have kept him, just got rid of Mike Shula. But and I can't really blame Mike Shula as well because we've seen the weapons that we had when we went against New Orleans. We had really no weapons. We had Cam and Cam a bust. That's pretty much what we had. Our offensive line is questionable. I kind of hope that Ryan Khalil take a reduction on his contract because he's not the same player. Matt Khalil, he needs to take a reduction off his contract because he's not the left tackle that was advertised. He's okay, but he's not the left tackle that was advertised. He was going to be a difference maker. But I also want to say this too. I kind of wish that this offseason, instead of us really drafting a corner, I kind of feel like now that we got rid of Dave Gettleman that we can somehow go back and get Josh Norman. I think that would solve a lot of problems because to me, this is how I feel. I feel like with Cam Newton and Josh Norman, they both improved each other's games. You going against somebody that's improving your game. Like them talking trash, they're known for talking trash. When we see Cam Newton, he's talking trash to Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Josh Norman does the same thing with people he play against. To me, they talk trash. The biggest thing that season we went 15-1 and went to the Super Bowl. The biggest thing at the beginning of that season was Josh Norman and Cam Newton getting in the altercation because of Josh Norman picked his pass off and was talking trash because they constantly talk trash. I think those two improves each other's games a lot. But in the draft, I kind of want to see what y'all think we should target. I kind of feel like this is what to me personally feel that we should target in the draft. I do wish that we get we do need another weapon. I'm not too sure if it should be a running back or a wide receiver. I mean, it really should be both. I mean, I like Devin Funchess. I partially like Christian McCaffrey. I partly wish we can just convert him into a wide receiver. I think he'd be more effective as a wide receiver. We've seen that this year in the backfield. He was doing nothing in the backfield, but as a catcher, he's a great catcher. So I would like us to convert him as a wide receiver. I think he'll be an excellent slot receiver or a number 2 receiver. I think we should get a more running back that fits our style. That's a hard-nosed, run between the tackles type runner that fits Cam Newton pound game that we have. It beeped on me, and I forgot I did say it was 3 minutes long, and my fault. But I wanted to finish what I was saying. This is part 2.
That was a good call, man.
I ain't talking about the Patriots and bashing the Patriots because no more Tom Brady talk because the season over.
You got a lot to say, a lot of good stuff to say.
Super Bowl again, which I would hate to see.
I
mean, but once again, I kind of feel like we should either get a running back or a wide receiver. I do wish we get a pass rusher because to me that was evident. I don't know why we never used Deshaun Hall. Maybe he's one of the players, I guess. Hopefully he end up doing a Greg Hardy thing where he's a talent, but he just needs to improve on his skills. I guess like his feet and hand motions, whatever he needs to learn is build up his technique. But I think we need another pass rusher, either a safety because we kind of need a safety, even though I do love Kurt Coleman. I love what Kurt Coleman stands for. I like his personality, and I like the way how aggressive he plays on the field. But I just wanted to hear what you guys had to say. Pleasure having you guys on the podcast, and y'all give us fans a chance to let our voices out there and get to ask questions. But y'all have a great time and love the podcast.
What a great call, man.
Yeah, man. Lots to unpack there. They were very insightful. A lot of good questions there, too. I think what we come there is this, is the first question we'll ask you, Mel, is what do the Panthers need to do in the draft? Now, obviously, let's take BPA out of it. Let's just assume that BPA and need coincide at the same moment. How do you approach the draft? What do you go for?
Well,
check my mock draft out on Thursday on Draft Tag. Let me know. Hey, sorry.
You stole what I was going to say. But you got to remember, it's not just round 1. Kamara was not a first-round pick. So there are different areas of need, and they really are wide receiver, running back. I mean, somebody like Darnell Geis, oh, my goodness. If he's there at 24, and he could be, or a Nick Chubb, somebody along those lines would be exciting, but because they're playmakers. You got the wide receiver position. You definitely could use an edge rusher with Julius Peppers. May or may not be coming back, and probably not going to be at the same status he was this year. Now Deshaun Hall he went on injured reserve kind of earlier in the year, so he's going to be back next year. So that will be a little bit of juice added to the roster. But if the right guy is there, oh my goodness, somebody like the other Chubb, Bradley Chubb, whoo, that would
yeah, that's the guy, man. If that dude's a beast. All right, let me ask you this, and that's from your school. Let me just say, quick question this.
Another key position is safety. This defense needs a fast sideline-to-sideline coverage type of safety. That would make a huge difference.
If you could ensure that you hit on a draft pick, right, like is that we get 3 picks, but you only are going to get one that you're going to hit on, right? 1, 2, and 3. Would you take a defensive end, a wide receiver, or a safety? Like if it, like the next year they're going to contribute at a
very high
rookie
level.
of the year type level.
Wide receiver.
Okay.
Cam deserves the weapons.
All right. There's a couple of things I think that go into that for me, and I have a theory when it comes to drafting that I've just been kind of bouncing around in my head recently, and I don't know if, like, when I write it down, if it's going to work, because I'm not a draft guru. But I feel like it would be better to target a cheaper position in free agency and hit on a more expensive position against the cap in the draft. So to me, defensive end is like top pay guys, wide receiver, top pay guys, left tackle, top pay guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are the dudes that get the big contract. So if you could get an elite player in for 2 years out of the draft at those positions, you get elite player for a lot less.
Well, that's what made Seattle so good for that stretch run. You know, you get Russell Wilson on a rookie contract,
right?
You got I think they had like 6 or 7 players that were quote unquote elite on rookie contracts, and it just blows them up. So you're right. You take
so for me, it's defensive end. If I mean, but I don't know if you just don't get I think it's easier to get a Julio Jones or an Odell Beckham Jr. than it is to get a Julius Peppers. So I think it's harder to hit for a rookie defensive end.
But see, and that goes back to BPA. I mean, if Bradley Chubb is there, or if you have a way to trade up and get a Bradley Chubb, do it. The guy is a difference maker.
Yeah, that dude, man, you hear his name, all you got to do is this. You just want to know about Bradley Chubb. That's the NC. Is Nick Chubb is Georgia. Bradley Chubb is NC State defensive end. You want to know about Bradley Chubb? You don't even got to watch him play. Just listen to NC State football games on the radio, and guess what you will hear? You hear his name over. It's just like, dang, you guys are chubbing. I think this is that safety is the easiest to meet, the cheapest and the easiest to meet in free agency. Now, I haven't looked at the guys who are available yet, but to me, that's the guy you get early, you get in free agency, and then you can go more aggressively after these positions in the draft. The other thing, too, is to remember that Corn Elder is a defensive back who will be returning. Deshaun Hall was injured. He hurt his knee, and they put him on the IR early. So they basically redshirted him his rookie year. So we don't know what Deshaun Hall would be, but there is he is there. I think Corn Elder is going to be a good addition here that will help us. And the last point is it comes back to that running back component, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we even need to have a conversation about making McCaffrey a wide receiver. I don't think he doesn't need to be an either or. I think he needs to be a both. He needs to be a wide receiving tailback that when he's not in the backfield, he's out there playing wide receiver in the slot. He can do those. So then you always have him on the field. But you have to have a thumper behind him or beside him. I mean, it's just the fact of the matter. That's what Jonathan Stewart is or is supposed to be this season. So, yeah, if you need to get a guy that can get your power through when the defense lines up in the box. That's my theory.
Let me tell you, had we gotten Leonard Fournette, he was gone at pick number 4. But, man, he's the reason the Jags are there. That defense, too, But without Fournette, the Jags are not there. I promise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, you need a thumper, though, with McCaffrey. McCaffrey's not going to turn into a 3-down back one day. I don't think. I don't think he can progress to that level. I think he'll be a 3-down player, but he'll have to play 1 or 2 downs at receiver and 1 or 2 downs at
I don't think his
tailback.
final role. I don't think his final role's been written yet. However, point well taken. You need the big thumper, and I'm telling you, if Geis is there, take Geis.
Okay.
But I don't think he might be there at 24. Debatable.
All right.
We'll see.
Let's hear again. Next call.
Hi, this is your loyal podcaster, Carlton Davis.
Get him,
Hello,
boy.
C3 podcast guys. What's up, Tony? Me,
What is
Porter,
up, Carlton?
and Joey, and welcome back, Mel. How y'all doing tonight? Yes,
Good,
it's
man.
almost 1:30 in the morning. I am as happy as can be. Where's that? First of all, I want to say, where's that Falcons troll that always calling?
Yeah, what happened?
Welcome to the Falcons troll. Where is he at now? His Falcons are getting butts kicked by a backup quarterback. And I'm especially happy because the Saints got beat today. Yes. Your boy, the defensive end, I can't think of his name right now. He was talking all that junk of Carolina after the game from Carolina last week. And tonight, after they lost their heartbreaker, he had to come back from for that final extra point thing. He was crying. Number 94, I can't think of your name right now, for the Saints. He the one that y'all need to ice his ass up this week. He needs to be iced up. Talking shit one week and crying like a little bitch the next week. Anyway, Norv Turner is our OC, so you guys tell me what you think. I think he's going to do a terrific job. I think Armor, he's going to use Armor like he did with Tober, and I see big things happening for McCaffrey and Cam. So,
all right.
Until next time, Panther Nation, keep pounding them.
That's right. Cameron Jordan crying like a little bitch is what he said. Just to translate.
He didn't pull any punches.
I just wanted to say it again. Man, people are like sending wine glasses on the internet. It's like,
I love it.
You know what? It's like you got to eat your crow. You know, you just wear the egg on your face. You know what I'm saying? Get egg on your face. You can't wipe it off right away. You can't act like it didn't happen. So, you know what? I get it. All right. So great calls tonight. Thanks for everybody calling in. We got a lot more to talk about in the upcoming weeks. I thought tonight, again, was going to be a short show. And you know what? We continue to find ways to yap about the Carolina Panthers. A lot of chat in the chat room. There's a lot of talk in the chat room about how one specifically is some of the guys that we have, Andrew Norwell, Star Latulele, what their future looks like for the Carolina Panthers.
We got to do a whole show on that, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do tons of talk on all of that. Star Walks, that's my opinion. Star Walks. But all of that, we got so much. We got each and every week we're going to talk about draft, players, all of this.
Let me jump in real quick there, though. But going back to your statement about 10 minutes ago about priority positions, that nose tackle is a high-priced position. And when you got one and you've drafted them and you've invested it, if you can, my opinion, you keep them. You can get another guard. Norwell's good. He's really good. Get another guard. Can you get
Kyle
another
Love, baby. Kyle Love.
Okay, we'll do a whole show on this.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk. Vernon Butler. There's some. Yeah, that's a great debate to have. A lot of those, a lot of hard decisions. We got to break down the numbers too. That's another thing. We'll be talking salary cap, draft, everything, because the C3 podcast doesn't quit, and we'll see all of that. A lot of things come in the future. But before we go tonight, And thank you for all your support on the Cat Calls line, 252-228-5098. For you guys that want to continue to jump in the conversation, help us steer it next week, we got ice and mugs up.
Yeah, we do.
And they're going to be frigid. Frigid cold. Let's see what we got here. I think I got some cubes. Clank, 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 clank. All right. It's up there. They heard it. You didn't. Now the intro music's back on because I never fixed this part. But Mel, ice somebody up.
All right. So you know, I have to go with as I always do on the ice up, son. But if you try to overthink yourself, you're missing the obvious. So I'm going with the low-hanging fruit. The New Orleans Saints had 3 seasons of 7-9, back to back to back. Just incredibly tough years for Saint fans. Then this year they seem to put it all together. They they get a free agent out of Carolina, turn that defense around. They just knocked the ball out of the park on their draft, probably the best draft class I've ever seen. I mean, just knocked it out of the park with everyone. And they just steamrolled through the season after week 2. I mean, they just were, a meteoric rise. And the window's closing because Drew Brees is the straw that stirs the drink in New Orleans. So this was their year. They had it lined up. They had it won. And then Mr. Rookie, who was a big part of that draft class and that defense that turned things around in one fell swoop, which I think is a appropriate description of that tackle attempt, just whiffed big time and just threw away all of that. To go from 7-9 3 years in a row to have it teed up to go to the NFC Championship.
Teed up.
And on one play, you just ripped the heart out of Saints fans. I mean, just rip it out like dude did the throat on Roadhouse. I mean, just ripped it right out of them. I mean, it was just the worst case scenario. And I loved every second of it. So, Marcus Williams, Saints Nation, Sean Payton, all you guys, ice up.
It was so bad, Mel. It's one of those things. It was so bad you feel sorry for somebody that you don't really feel sorry about, because it was like, it's kind of like being at the championship, like the Masters or something, and being a 12-inch putt, and you just whiff. You don't even hit the ball. You just tip it. Or it goes like a half-inch or something.
Right. But see, I didn't even feel that way for the Falcons last year after the 28-3 debacle. I just loved every second of that.
Right. So, the only problem with this is this poor guy is going to be kind of what we did to Aguayu. Or, you know what I'm saying, is that except for he had a good rookie season, and then
he'll have for sale signs in his yard when he gets back to his house.
Yeah, there's gonna be all kinds of stuff. So, but I don't feel so sorry for for him. Don't feel sorry for the Saints at all. All right, my ace up pick goes to A1 Kyle Koster. You can reach him at Twitter at Kyle KYLEKOSTR. I'm going to type it in the chat room. That's how important this is. Kyle Koster. You just at this dude. He supposedly writes, supposedly he does write, obviously, for thebiglead.com. And on January 15th, yesterday, at 8:59, he posted a story titled, Pathetic, Forgetful Carolina Panthers talk trash to New Orleans Saints after loss to Minneapolis. Or to Minnesota, excuse me. I said Minneapolis. It's in Minneapolis. So, to Minnesota Vikings. And my computer is going slow right now, but he says this. He cites that, of course, it was also just the reminder of the worst of sports, quote, to have to offer in his story. That the Carolina Panthers jumping on Twitter to taunt their foes. Oh, this is right. I know where Minneapolis came. The title is this: Pathetic, Forgetful Carolina Panthers talk trash to New Orleans Saints after Minneapolis miracle. And quote, he says, of course, it was also a reminder of the worst sports have to offer. Carolina Panthers jumping on Twitter to taunt their divisional foes would certainly qualify.
Sport has to offer.
Yes. Here's linebacker Thomas Davis and running back Jonathan Stewart. And once my computer catches up, Jonathan Stewart passed an emoji laughing. Like, ha, y'all got messed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was it. No words.
Right.
And then Thomas Davis is, and by the time my computer pressed it like down like 7 times, it says, but he said, you got to humble yourself, folks, in this game. Ultimately, humble yourself. These are both references to the Saints talking all that smack against the Panthers. Yeah, this is what Thomas Davis here finally kept up, is caught up. Thomas Davis just put, wow. Humble yourself. That's it. So this guy's trash talk is an emoji and Thomas Davis saying humble yourself after Cameron Jordan blasted the Panthers in their efforts, calling the left tackle a speed bump and saying he's going to send Cam Newton some sauce. After Kamara, who I like, passed out. I'm pretty sure they were fruit roll-ups on the side of the sideline where they
I kind of like that. I kind of like that.
Yeah. They were eating fruit roll-ups with a couple of minutes left, and they almost lost those. And then third, you got Sean Payton and all of them talking trash to fans ultimately in all of this. And you're going to try to tell our players that one emoji and wow, humble yourself is pathetic trash talk.
The worst side of sports.
Yeah. Quote. Yeah. Come on, man. The worst sports have to offer. Come on. So to you at Kyle Koster, KyleKoster, you can at him. I mentioned him. Yeah, I mentioned him this morning, and I refused to link his story because I just sent him a tweet. No link, nothing in reference. I just said this to him. Your article sucked. It's time to double dose your Midol.
I encourage everybody in the YouTube chat room, hit him up, #IceUpSon.
Oh, Tin Tizzy says it was Airheads. Man, I think fruit roll-ups would have been cooler. Why was it Airheads? Anyway, but Kyle Custer, to you, I say, with your 9 o'clock deadline for your 48-cent article on thebiglead.com from a guy who is probably a Minneapolis hipster who's actually a Saints fan. To you, sir, and your fake-ass trash talk, and your fake-ass patheticism, I say ice up because you suck. And that's it.
You sorry, man.
You sorry. Hey, you sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. Nice job, man.
All right. That's the C3 podcast. Brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We're going to go no music on the end tonight. Every Tuesday night, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name is Tony Dunn. I'm doing it tonight with my homeboy who is here almost every week. Joe Riolano is here every week except for this week. Mel, it's great hanging out with you for the last hour and a half.
Yeah, buddy. It was good to be back. Good medicine, man. I enjoyed it.
You can find Mel's mock draft on Thursday night. Where at?
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning.
DraftTech.com, and I'll be tweeting it out too. I'll tweet it out.
He does. He got that, and it's interesting. I like to look at that because I got to find some breadcrumbs right now, because right now wading through that draft mess is about to get cray because there's gonna be like a billion names, and everybody wants to be the guy who'd be like, this dude from Texas, you know, well, actually, I got to pick a small school, and they'd be like, he's the next.
Maybe SMU.
Bradbury.
Yeah.
The next Josh Norman. We're all going to have to try to find that dude, and we will do it on Twitter together. I promise you that.
Check it out.
All right. You can follow me at @cat_chronicles. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. You can send it to a friend. You can consider donating, and you can be sure to call in to the Cat Calls line 252-228-5098. I'll be getting on some stuff on the website more as we come into this. Dante Moncrief's on my mind. I want to know who's on your mind. Jump in the show. We'll see you next week.
Keep pounding.